Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. As a servant to the people of Queensland and Australia, I am very happy with this outcome. In fact, I'm very relieved. I'm even happier that the solution adopted, the 15% rate, is Senator Pauline Hanson's solution. It's actually the farmers' solution. The farmers' solution, because last June, we listened to farmers, very concerned, strawberry farmers, in fact, Sunshine Coast. And they really impressed me because they said we have an enormous problem with the backpackers and what we need to do is find a solution quickly. It hasn't been quick, but the farmers really impressed me because of their understanding of the situation and their understanding of the tax. And what really impressed me was their desire to form a solution rather than just whinge. These people understood what was needed, not only from their perspective, from the region's perspective and from the backpackers' perspective. They understood the backpackers' view. Very dedicated. And what that shows is that listening pays off. Pauline Hanson and I and James Ashby actually listened, and now that we're in the Senate, it's paying off. Instead of being driven by ideology, we are driven by serving our country and by serving the farmers. Chair, 2 nights ago, I congratulated the crossbench after the ABCC bill was passed. But then I learned something quite horrifying, and that is that a key clause that was changed in the amendments was to bring in a 2-year transition period. And that 2-year transition period flew in the face of an actual agreement, in an enterprise agreement between Lend-Lease and the CFMEU. That was clause 7.3, which the 2 parties had agreed to in an EA that I understand had just recently been finalised, and that clause said that both parties, Lend-Lease and the CFMEU, recognised that the ABCC may be passed, and that if it was passed, the 2 parties would get together and quickly renegotiate an EA. So there was no need for the transition clause. But what it did show was that we were bulldozed, we were scammed as a Senate by the CFMEU and by Lend-Lease into giving them a 2-year period of grace. I also realised that the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, as we've known for some time, is flawed and is being counterproductive for many farmers. Fortunately, we had 2 farmers actually from the Murray-Darling Basin in southern New South Wales, and they showed us the damage that was being done. And I need to congratulate the government for not capitulating to the demands for adjustments to the Murray-Darling Basin, but rather referring it to a future decision. That shows the power, again, of listening to the farmers involved, and we will be looking at that Murray-Darling Basin quite seriously in the new year. I need, as a matter of integrity, to apologise to the Coalition for blaming them for this backpacker mess. Well, I certainly do, Senator McKim, through you, Chair, because when I make a mistake, I acknowledge it, and if necessary, I apologise for it. That was my mistake. I realised that the reason for this mess is the former Treasurer, Wayne Swan, a Labor Treasurer who caused, and the Labor Party who caused so much recurrent spending, and I congratulate the current government for actually standing up and taking note of various tribunal decisions and trying to resolve this in a timely way. So I apologise to them for my misunderstanding. I want to also acknowledge and appreciate Senator Cormann, through you, Chair. He kept his word throughout this whole discussion, and that, in the crossbench's view, is extremely important after the letting down of their commitment to Senator Leonholm. Fortunately, Senator Cormann has maintained his position in recent days after the 15% was agreed to by the government, and that is welcome for governance in this country, because we cannot have a government that bends to every whim and must be based on data. The government has come to realise that 15%, as understood by the farmers that talk to us, and as Senator Hanson proposed, was what was right, and they unfortunately couldn't get some crossbench senators over the line yesterday. However, the 15% is essential for not only treating the backpackers with respect and encouraging them to come back to our country, it's also treating the farmers with respect and maintaining regional Queensland. It's also welcome for governance in this country. It's also welcome for the budget and for debt, and for the farmers and for regional Queensland and for Australia. And I hope that the crossbench has realised that their mistake in not settling on the 15% initially. Negotiating is very important in politics, but what I'm seeing is horse trading can be often damaging, especially when involving the abuse of facts. We all have to do what is best for Australia and not play to our egos. So I say to the Senate, let's support this amendment that the government has proposed. Let's make Australia great again for everyone. Let's start with our farmers, who work hard over long hours and take the risk, the economic risk that they wear through their own security and their family's security. Our farmers are our primary industry. We need to rebuild our regional economies into one nation. And so let's make Australia great again for all Australians. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, I have to go to Senator Dastyari. Very close.
I won't take up too much of the Senate's time. Mr. Acting Deputy President, I want to begin by thanking Senator Roberts. I thought he put his case quite eloquently. It's good to know that this was a decision that was made by the One Nation Party, and thank you for clarifying that the Greens, in the end, with a lot of struggle, ended up coming and adopting a One Nation position at the end of this. I think that's a very important point. I want to think. Look, I've got to say, after the election, when we first came back to this place, I thought there'd be some kind of, I thought we were all talking about marriage equality, and marriage equality was going to be a big issue that we're going to deal with, hopefully in this parliament, hopefully in the first 6 months. And there was all this talk of a rainbow coalition. Well, we've seen the new rainbow coalition emerge. The Green, One Nation, National Party, Liberal Party coalition. And as Senator Roberts was saying, this is good. This is the future. We're seeing a crystal ball into the new year. And Senator McKim, it is fantastic that despite your differences with Senator Roberts, despite the fact that you spent the day on Twitter attacking each other about protesters, you're able to fold and give in to their policy positions when you see the merits of the arguments that are being made. And Senator Roberts is right. If Senator Roberts is right, you folded because you saw the empirical evidence. You saw the empirical evidence of Senator Roberts' argument. And in the end, the Greens Party ended up adopting a One Nation position. And where are they? Where are the other Greens? They're not even here. I mean, we haven't even heard from Senator Whish-Wilson in this debate. Who knows where he is at the moment?
Senator McKim, point of order.
Quickly, it's incumbent on me to point out that, in fact, Senator Whish-Wilson is in the chair at the moment and fulfilling a duty to the Senate.
Thank you, Senator McKim. That is a debating point.
You're going to be getting up and defending Senator Roberts. But I've got to say, Senator Roberts, I did see you a bit earlier, and I noticed there was a web video that you did earlier with a Jean-Claude Van Damme. I hope the minister won't be offended by this, but we call him the real Muscles from Brussels, as opposed to the other one. But I thought it was appropriate because, having a bit of backbone, having a bit of spine, being able to stand up and fight for your position. And I think it's fitting, Senator McKim, that we had Van Damme in the building here today, actually kind of trying to instill a sense of you've got to stand up for something, you have to believe in something. Because what we've seen from the Greens is they fold. They give in. They give in. You gave in. You gave in the first bit of pressure that could come, and you gave in to adopt One Nation's policy position. Now, this whole thing's been fairly sticky from the start, and not sticky in the sense of protesters that you're all mates with, but sticky in the sense that the policy on this has been shady from go to woe. And the Greens have once again, this whole idea, the second the government turns around and puts any kind of pressure, the second the government turns around and says, if you don't do this, you fold. You have to learn that you have to stand up for some principles sometimes in this place, Senator McKim. And I'm disappointed. Look, I said this before. People look. Pragmatism is important in politics, but so is policy. So is standing up for what you believe. So is standing up for some policy.
Order.
Mate, through you, Chair. Through you, Chair. It's the Greens Party that are adopting the One Nation agenda. I mean, we saw it a few months ago when Ms Hanson made her first speech. They got up and, in some kind of theatrical flourish, walked out. I didn't realise they were walking out so they could go and adopt her policy book. They must have heard the speech, thought they got so inspired they ran out to see how many of these policies they can adopt for themselves. And when Senator Roberts is playing the tune, it's Senator McKim who's following. And I've got to say, Senator McKim, the Pied Piper. Senator Roberts is the Pied Piper. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk recently from the Leader of the Government in the Senate about the obsession that Mr Dreyfus from the other place may have in him. Now, I don't think there's any truth to that. But what I do notice from your social media feed, Senator McKim, is the obsession that you seem to have with Senator Roberts. And look, I'm all for that. I'm very open-minded about these matters. But what I'm surprised about is that it's extended towards the policy adoption, the policy development process. And we always knew the Greens were a bit light-eyed on policy, but I didn't realise they were so desperate for votes they were going to try and steal the One Nation policy agenda. And with that, I will conclude to give the Senate enough time to actually debate.
Oh, thank you, Senator Dastyari. Senator Hinch was on his feet. To you next, Senator McKim.
Thank you, Chair. This may surprise Senator Cormann, but I'm thrilled by this deal. I will vote for this deal. I'm glad it's been done. It's great for the fruit pickers. It is great for the horticulturalists. It's great for everybody. We've got to a figure. And I wish that I had the prescience and the perspicacity of the chair and had thought of the attacking the superannuation deal myself, because we got to that, we would have got there a lot faster, because we have got, when you look at the reduction from 95 to 65, we have got with the superannuation the 13% that I wanted. We started yesterday with one person pushing for 13. Shortly after that, I got Senator Culton on board. That was 2. Then we got Senator Lambie. That was 3. Then we got the Labor Party. That was 29. Then we got the Greens, and you got your 38. And suddenly we thought we're all going to go home for Christmas. It's going to be great.